Introduction to Liang Yusheng. When writing novels, new ideas may emerge. Sometimes, these ideas are not suitable for appearing in novels, nor are they suitable for writing in the author's words. I will write them out and post them on my social media. However, you may find that recorded ideas come in handy from time to time, so write them in a diary. On the one hand, organize them, and on the other hand, check them at any time, which is due to randomness. Let the text be restored to more joy. Preface. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At the end of 2018, during the forum's essay solicitation activity, I wrote a large book review with over 8,000 words, followed by 3 small book reviews, and then even started brainstorming my work. This work is the current serialized martial arts novel, The Partridge Drinking Chenglin. At that time, I wanted to write it for fun, but I accidentally submitted it. I originally planned and wrote it, but I didn't take it too seriously. I tried half and half played, and that's the mentality. But I didn't expect to sign the contract. Since we have signed the contract, let's follow the business process. At this point, our mood is different and we are very nervous. It's still the first time writing and serializing, and it's still in a signed state, which requires a process of adaptation. Until now, this book is almost coming to an end, and I have gone from needing to adapt at the beginning to gradually adapting. The most insightful aspect is that sometimes while writing the plot, new ideas may arise that are not suitable for immediate inclusion in the novel or for being written in the author's words. At that time, I was quick to record it, sometimes posting it on my social media as a record. But after a while, you will find that ideas that are accidentally recorded and emerge often come in handy. So quickly flip back and search for records. At this moment, I was thinking that if there were a diary, I could record these creative ideas and then flip back, so that future friends who want to write can have a reference. That would be great. This idea has always been around, and coincidentally, in September 2020, I came across a post from someone in a forum saying that an author was writing a diary and their grades were not bad. This post touched me. Yes, I can also write a diary. Just record the little ideas from the creative process and review them if necessary. And I also have an idea. When I see some authors with good grades, I can't help but envy them when I see their glory, but I also want to know how they came about, and what happened to the sweetness, sourness, bitterness, and spiciness of this journey. And this is a blank space. It is unlikely that anyone will say. They are busy continuing to cultivate. And recently, I have been fantasizing, going through a journey that is about to come to an end, and many ideas have emerged. I want to record it. Perhaps there will be a new beginning and better development in the future, but it will not be the current mood or scenario. What may not be eye-catching in front of us, but it is also a unique and rare item that will disappear in the past. So I want to send out the records recently. I don't know if I'm the only one with this idea, or if many people have it. When I participated in business writing and saw the opportunity to monetize my words, I felt excited, as well as nervous and stressed. At this point, I want to recreate the true joy that text brings me, and I don't want it to always become a tool for business operations. This is also a kind of balance. Moreover, in university logic classes, the teacher once said that diaries are written for others to read. Many people opposed this viewpoint at that time. The teacher also gave a counterexample, saying that someone suggested that there is Lin Dayu's diary. The teacher smiled and said, "So how do you know?" "No, even you have read it, so how could Lin Dayu's diary be written for herself to read alone?" Now that I think about this matter, I feel that many things from the past are actually worth recording, and I also pay tribute to this teacher. Every day's life is ordinary, and there are also small joys. Perhaps it may not be so great, but it is also worth treating with care. When I write this text, I feel very calm. Perhaps this is the initial joy that the text brings me. If this is the original intention, then don't forget and come back often to see. September 6, 2020. A temporary new writing experience. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. I feel like I've shed a layer of skin after writing this time. Isn't this what Hu Tiandu and Xiao Baiming mentioned in Lianjin Feng Yun Lu about washing hair and cutting marrow in their discussion of martial arts? I have also said in the group that the imitation stage is easy, but if you have to walk your own path, many people will get stuck. So far, only Gu Long is able to step out of imitation and live up to himself. So, I want to write more about summarizing and organizing things. It's also good to take a few more steps wherever you go. This novel can be said to be imitated by me, and it took me so long. It was imitated on a large scale, and the time is long enough. It will take more than a year. It started in May last year and was signed in July. It hasn't ended yet, more than a year, less than a year and a half. It's too early to say that one can fully adapt to the constant changes every day. The biggest experience of these days is Liang Yusheng's love writing, especially the sorrowful and cruel emotions. He is a light sadness that lingers in his heart for a long time, just like the voice of Teresa Teng. He sings softly, but it can spread far. This is indeed artistic appeal. But I haven't fully adapted to this style, and I'm still rebellious and in conflict. I don't like sad and emotional scenes. So when imitating, there are always intentional or unintentional segments of imitation, followed by segments that disrupt the rhythm, sometimes with a humorous insert. When I wrote it down like this, I suddenly realized that Jin Yong had this rhythm, with a smirk on his face, but he could still think about it and have a lingering aftertaste. With this experience, I feel that I need to keep a distance from the market, not care about what the current online literature market likes, but try my best to recover. This alone is enough for me to do for a long time. If we are committed to restoration, it means subversion, which is contrary to my previous ideas. Restoration cannot have a great chance of fame and fortune, but this is really something worth doing, and it may not let tradition go down or be cut off. But this matter requires a lot of effort, but we cannot expect market returns. It can be said that it is completely behind closed doors, integrating oneself into the past era and restoring those good things. While restoring, it is also important to maintain contact with reality. Sometimes, interpreting the past with modern thinking can lead to novel discoveries. So this mindset is not just a point, but a system. It's really a situation I've never encountered before. What made me laugh this time was that I inserted a scene of eloping before a big war, and then Xiang tried to save him by seducing him with the position of head. That junior brother was extremely intelligent, even his master said he had a high talent, but unfortunately, his intelligence was not used on the right path, otherwise the head would have been fooled. As a result, his junior brother said that I was at a disadvantage to give up love for the distant leader. Greedy for fame and position, abandoning my junior sister, won't I become Qin Shimi? That's what deserves to be scolded. Then he also ran against Xiang, refused to reclaim Wudang's martial arts, eloped without hesitation, and even negotiated. I am particularly excited to write this paragraph, as I have seen my own innovation. It is not easy to see one's own innovation through imitation. So continuing to walk is also the right path. Also, there seems to be a tacit understanding in the martial arts circle, whether it's writing novels or commenting, as long as it's read carefully and written with love, there will be a bias in attention. This is really a cognitive experience that has been played with care. No matter where you are, it is the same. If you are truly willing to invest and have a heart, at least you will receive recognition. Playing is indeed very important. So have fun. September 6, 2020. A brief discussion on Yi Chenglin and Tai Jingxin. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. The record of Partridge's drinking Cheong is coming to an end, and at this time, I found that the female lead Yu Qingzhu has many crying scenes. The character Yu Qingzhu is controversial among martial arts fans. Some people don't like her very much. I guess it was her acting too recklessly. A few men were picking and choosing, and Iron Mirror Heart still looked excellent, but unfortunately she went to abuse them. When I was a child, the first time I watched San Juan Vexia, I felt that what the female protagonist Yu Qingzhu really liked was her master Zhang Danfeng. Later, I wrote a book review for The Scattered Flower Hero, and I won an award that time. Someone in the group is chatting with me, and that's what they said. At that time, I thought I was the only one who could see it, but it turned out to be an open secret. Many people have seen it, haha. Later in another group, they also said the same, and it was evident that there were many people. The Three Men Who Like Yu Qingzhu, by Qingtian, Tai Jingxin, and Yi Chenglin, some have written about Bai Qingtian's accomplices and really like him. Some people like Iron Mirror Heart, thinking that he has a strong scholarly atmosphere and is good to the female lead. I have always loved Yi Chenglin. The first time I watched The Scattered Flower Hero, I was waiting for Zhang Danfeng to appear. At that time, I had not long watched The Legend of the Condor Heroes, and the obsession had not yet passed. I really wanted to see how he had become. I didn't expect Zhang Danfeng to be a special guest in both The Scattered Flower Hero and The Legend of Sword and Fairy, as he was playing soy sauce. But from the first time I looked at it, until 2018 when I reread it to write a book review, I found that I still liked the character Yi Chenglin. Yi Chenglin and Tai Jingxin are in perfect contrast. Yi Chenglin silently observes. He has the personality of a big green tree and can provide convenience for others, so he usually doesn't show off his appearance. He just observes to see where there is a need, and he will appear there. When he appears, he basically talks about doing things, providing benefits for others, and others will profit from him. And as for Tai Jingxin, the book says he is a rose from Jiangnan, beautiful but not practical. He loves to show off his talents and always shows off wherever he goes. If Yi Chenglin is a doer who finds the market and silently pays without taking credit, then Tai Jingxin is like growing up in a pampered environment. As a new child entering society, he needs a stage to showcase himself. One is to identify the market before investing, and the other is the urgent need for a stage. Of course, in terms of maturity, Yi Chenglin naturally has an advantage, and dealing with him does not require much effort. Iron Mirror Heart had to work hard to set up a stage for him, prepare flowers and cheers, and revolve around him. So naturally, Yi Chenglin has a wider range of applicability and is also more popular. But Iron Mirror Heart, dressed in a gorgeous coat, does not have a wide range of applicability. I think Yu Qingzhu's choice is right. From a young age until now, this viewpoint is consistent. Moreover, novels and life are different. In life, Yi Chenglin is an economically suitable man, down to earth and suitable for living. Iron Mirror Heart is more like a phoenix man or a peacock man, and in the field of art, this type of character naturally has more room for expression. I like Liang Yusheng's novels because he uses poetic language to write about the ups and downs of life, rather than just piling up rhetoric to catch people's attention. At the same time, storytelling is also very creative. It is written based on history or the laws of life. It is not fabricated randomly, but rather a rough draft of the story, which is a reliable expression. I really like this, and I think martial arts novels are often read by teenage children. The first time I watched The Flower Blossom Woman was in middle school, when I was only in my teens. At that time, children needed social education and guidance from adults. Therefore, in addition to being good-looking, martial arts novels also require a sense of responsibility, which is felt in Liang Yusheng's novels. I greatly respect this sense of responsibility, and if possible, I hope to restore it. Children will grow up, and they will feel what was good for them in the beginning. It would be better to tell the story honestly. September 7, 2020. It's best to have a rest alpha energy accompaniment. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. I got off work late today, so I'm afraid my diary will be updated a bit later. However, I can't let go of the daily scheduled updates. The habit of regularly updating every day is something I learned while listening to the program Luoji Thinking, and I think it will give readers a sense of stability. When you're tired from work, sometimes you need a kind of companionship. It's not necessarily important to pay attention to certain things, but don't let others feel lonely. After I get home from work, there is often a period of time when I am particularly tired, which is when I have not yet transitioned from working to returning home. At this moment, I really don't want to talk and don't want anyone to disturb me. And very sensitive and picky, it's better to have no sound than noise. And today I still feel like I don't want to hear family gossip or see messy news. Do you remember reading a book before that said Alpha the application of music? The author is a practitioner of medicine and martial arts, and his family closely watches him practice. Whenever he is exhausted from practicing, his family says gentle encouragement and support to him, and this energy is Alpha Bo, so he immediately recovered. Today I want to listen to light music, and even Buddhist scriptures. Especially celebrities like Fei Wong who recite Buddhist scriptures really have a calming power. This power is suitable for enjoying when resting alone. Not bad, power can also be enjoyed. Especially the power brought by commercial packaging, which can be said to be a part of the product, can be enjoyed. I remember the first time I came into contact with Buddhist scriptures was in Liang Yusheng's novel. At that time, I was also tired. When I saw the 12-character motto in Wise Sword Heart Demon, wield the wise sword, cut off troubles, awaken wisdom, and prove truth, I would feel a refreshing feeling. At that time, I developed an interest in Buddhist scriptures. I just can't read authentic Buddhist scriptures, but I rely more on commercially packaged Buddhism. After commercial packaging, Buddhism seems to have more circulation and is easier to see. Goods are not just about providing services for people, but also about being enjoyed by others. And the packaged Buddhist scriptures also have such a function that people can enjoy. However, despite its benefits for people to enjoy, I believe it is important to maintain a sense of reverence for both Buddhist scriptures and faith. Some people have a profound understanding of Buddhist scriptures, and they still need to be respected. As for true faith, if someone is truly practicing, then they should also be respected. If Buddhist scriptures that have undergone commercial packaging also have commercial value, can serve and be enjoyed by people, and provide convenience, then Buddhist scriptures are still Buddhist scriptures. After all, packaged Buddhist scriptures are only a method, a form, and what should be respected is their essence. I also quoted Buddhist scriptures in my own martial arts novel, The Record of Partridges Drinking Cheong. When writing, I felt that this was the way to go, and Mr. Liang Yusheng wrote the same. But during the writing process, something happened. One night, I dreamt of my grandmother who had passed away for many years. So my family said burn some paper. I will go to a nearby candle shop to buy yellow paper with Buddhist scriptures printed on it. I saw it before, but I remembered it temporarily and I don't know if I can buy it. I actually bought it and immediately went to burn it after buying it home. On the way home, I suddenly remembered a very beautiful Buddhist song called Pu Men Pin. At that time, I wanted to write Pu Men Pin into a novel. Interestingly, when I thought about it, some scripture sentences immediately combined with the plot and came up with ideas on the spot. So when I write this paragraph, I feel a sense of peace of mind that I have really done my best. In the process of eliminating fatigue now, thinking of this experience, I can't help but smile. So let the blessings brought by the Buddhist scriptures accompany the readers without any other meaning, just give them a faint companionship. Then let's take a look at the situation today. If there is still time to finish the novel, I will add some diary entries. Do you remember reading Anne's diary before? Anne wrote it this way. After finishing a paragraph, she was interrupted by something. If she had time, she would make up for it. Sometimes it's the next day. I'll just let nature take its course. In short, since you have set a time, it's best not to easily disrupt it. Okay, let's temporarily stop here. September 8, 2020. Personalized expression. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Let's write another article today. After finishing the novel every day, just casually write a little bit of text, and it feels like it's a great way to relax. Previously, it was to send at a fixed time, but now it's to relax. When writing a novel, focus on the idea. When scribbling casually, the mood is relaxed. This often brings inspiration. For example, as I wrote yesterday, I didn't expect to summarize the difference between Chenglin and Jingxin in my own words. Mr. Liang Yusheng mentioned both of these characters in his works, one is a big green tree and the other is a rose. This is the writing style of Dream of the Red Chamber, and each of the 3 seasons has its own characteristics. For example, welcoming spring is like 2 pieces of wood, and exploring spring is like a rose. But the rose of Tanchun is said to be beautiful and thorny, not easy to provoke. The meaning of the flowers in the greenhouse is different from that of Iron Mirror Heart. In some book reviews, such citations can also be seen. Of course, such citations are helpful for promoting works. Some people have become interested in the original work after reading book reviews, so they can take a look. But it seems that I prefer reading book reviews with personality, which means describing a work or character again in my own words. To use a metaphor, if the original citation can be considered as the depiction in calligraphy, then describing it again in one's own words is called copying. My opinion is that copying also carries its own personality. Of course, for those in the martial arts community who love their works and start writing about their feelings, it's not easy anymore. It's up to them to decide whether or not to do it well. Indeed, they have a job and have worked hard all day. When they take a break, they look at some of their favorite works and paint them with heart, deepening the beautiful scene. This is already their best effort. If I use my perspective to annotate, it is indeed an additional matter. It's just someone else's self-appreciation, and even if it's posted, it's not for me to see alone. Why bother? I do think that while these types of book reviews may not have much commercial value, those who write them are more valuable. Dealing with fans of martial arts books is quite interesting, they are just a simple love. Perhaps in the martial arts bull market, one relied on great gods. And the current martial arts market cannot be a bull market, it should be a bear market. In my opinion, it still relies on these lovely book fans and readers. After writing my diary these past few days, I feel a sense of regret. If I had known earlier, I would have written earlier. Really, I only realized after writing it out that my understanding still needs to be deepened. If I don't write it down, I really don't know. If I were to write a diary during the creative process, my understanding of others would be different, and it would create a different flavor. At present, it seems too shallow. Interestingly, when updating, I was thinking about how to create an atmosphere and plot every day. It's almost over, my mood has relaxed a bit, and now when I look at familiar works, new feelings come out. Haha. Although there are benefits to rushing a draft, it forces me to write a little every day. If I don't write, I feel like I'm missing something. However, to adapt to the pace of rushing to draft, it is still necessary to read, write, and think more in daily life. Sedimentation skills are indispensable. I remember the first time I watched San Juan Vexia, I saw Yunlei giving birth to a daughter. However, in Lianjian Feng Yunlu, not only did she not see her daughter, but Yunlei did not appear, and Guanling's sword did not even mention this daughter. I was thinking it might have died prematurely. Then her daughter died young, and Yunlei also died of sadness. Then I made up a story and wrote it into The Record of Partridges Drinking Cheong, which I myself thought was just fun. Just thinking about the journey now, I am truly moved and didn't expect it to be completed like this. There seems to be a lot of room for improvement. Haha. So fortunately, it was a rush to draft. Otherwise, I would have had to procrastinate and only feel that this is not good, that is not good. And as for rushing to draft, let's just write it down first before proceeding. This can actually express the story in its entirety first. This is not about amplifying the positive aspects of personality, but about making it more perfect. So I think it's also good. Alright, I don't want to write any more today and it's too late. Good night. September 8, 2020, again. Recalling the feedback written every day. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I slept soundly after finishing yesterday. I slept until dawn and had no dreams all night. It seems that it is good to develop the habit of writing diaries, especially sending them regularly. This habit was learned by me, and after trying it out, I felt the benefits, which is why I kept it. A few years ago, I heard the program Luoji Thinking on the app, which mentioned that regular broadcasting would be reassuring, and it's not tiring to persist. At that time, I was careful, so I learned it and applied it in several occasions. One of the occasions is to send feedback at a fixed time every night in the martial arts group. That started in 2018, when the Banju group of Liang Yusheng's home forum watched the online movie, 7 Swords Under the Tian Shan Mountains. The original author, the party, always looked forward to the adapted drama and gritted their teeth. I hope to see what it takes to bring the original work to the screen and showcase my inner image. Unfortunately, there are some situations that cannot be reproduced, and at this point, there will be a sense of frustration that the iron cannot be turned into steel. After reading it, I feel that the creators have carefully read the original work, and some adaptations are modified according to the original meaning, not the most similar, but very similar. Vaguely visible, it's that kind of flavor. So I wrote a review, which is not so much a drama review, but rather a combination of online university and promotion of the original work. Indeed, those who have read the original work find it more attractive. At first, I just followed my own ideas to write, but I didn't expect that I wrote a series of drama reviews for a total of 7 days, with 1 review per day. Later on, I decided to combine the title of 7 Swords Down the Tian Shan Mountains, and write an analysis of the 7 characters. So this series came out. I don't know how others write comments, it seems like someone said that they write both good and bad, which is called objectivity. I grew up reading books by Liang Yusheng since I was young, and I have a sense of joy in reuniting with some characters after a long separation. Yes, after experiencing wind and rain, when I look back, it turns out that you are still there, and we are still together. The joy and warmth are indescribable. So when I write with the feeling of reunion after a long separation. Moreover, there is a program in Luoji Thinking that says, don't criticize and accuse others. It seems to be explaining a historical figure, but to restore the scene at that time, understand their helplessness, their frustration and compromise are inevitable, and it is already the best choice and solution. I quite like this viewpoint, so I used it to write a review. After finishing writing, I still felt unsatisfied, and at the same time, I also discovered one thing. Many children have not read the original work, and they all understand it based on movies and TV dramas. I remember there was an interesting comment that said that I wrote the name Yang Yunsong correctly, and many people wrote it as Yang Yunsong. Do I think this is also worth mentioning? And it's also praise, as anyone who has read the original work knows. So I started writing a review for 7 Swords Down the Tian Shan Mountains. Prior to this, the Liang Yusheng Home Forum held a essay solicitation activity, and one of the netizens wrote a review for Cloud Sea and Jade Bow Edge, which made the judges say it was too long. To be fair, the netizen's review of Yunhai Yugong Yuan has some ideas that I do not agree with. It is my personal opinion, but it is clearly a departure from the original atmosphere and a change in taste. I have also advised others not to write on their own, but they just like that. This incident has given me inspiration. I can also write a review and read the original work with the children, isn't it great? So I started writing. At the beginning of writing, I realized that it was not fast enough. The amount of information at the beginning was too large, and I needed to explain it one by one. So, I started writing slowly and wrote a paragraph every day. Sometimes when I have thoughts, I also record them. I feel like I have re-read the original work under everyone's attention, and this feeling is also very novel. So I am willing to read a little every day and then write an article. At that time, I posted it in the group at a fixed time every day, and everyone read it together. Having developed a habit, I feel that it is truly a form of companionship. Alright, let's write it down for now. If you're free today, then continue writing. A genuine copy from Suzhou Pingtan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. There is still some time today, let's continue writing a little. I still remember starting to write reviews for 7 Swords Down the Tian Shan Mountains in 2018. At that time, I first read it, then sorted out the story and picked out the points I wanted to comment on. While writing, I also noticed that combining martial arts novels with real-life knowledge can have a great effect. Moreover, those who read martial arts novels are mostly teenagers in their adolescence. At that time, besides being energetic and letting the world know who I am, they also needed knowledge and support. They needed to have a certain understanding of society. At this moment, I remembered the storytelling in Suzhou Pingtan that I listened to when I was a child. Suzhou Pingtan has a unique feature of evolution, unlike traditional Chinese opera where one person can only play one character. Suzhou Pingtan usually consists of 2 actors, one male and one female. And then all the characters are portrayed by them, in jargon, that's playing the role. Traditional Chinese opera immerses people and immerses them in the story. Suzhou Pingtan, on the other hand, not only brings people into the story, but also jumps out of the story to summarize. For example, there are some characters in the book who do this according to the situation at that time and their personalities. However, what are the consequences of such an approach being inappropriate? So what should be done correctly? It will be said in Suzhou Pingtan. So besides listening to books, one can also study sociology. For a while, I listened with great interest. A few years ago, I went to the Pingtan bookstore to listen to books myself. There are 2 sessions in a morning, starting at 8:30 in the morning and ending around 10 o'clock. Rest for a while and then continue until noon. That's only 10 yuan, and I'll also get a cup of tea as a gift. Sometimes I feel embarrassed and just bring a bag of tea and ask them for water. Where else can I spend 10 yuan now? Talking to them, I learned that Pingtan is a type of drama supported by the state, and it is not easy for young actors. Really, the actors on stage are very young, only in their 20s. That was a period of great prosperity, with many options to choose from. Storytelling is very arduous. But it's the joy of having someone safe. So after listening to a book, I was very moved. The quality of the story is secondary, and the key is that there are not many people in the scene, and they are all old men and women who have nothing to do after retirement. They come to make do with it and pass the time. To be honest, even if young people nowadays have energy, they don't necessarily have time. After being busy, they can't really come to the bookstore to listen to books. But if children like to listen to books and enjoy the stories in them, going to the bookstore to listen is also good, as they will learn a lot of sociological knowledge. These knowledge textbooks may not necessarily have them, but it also depends on fate, such as movies and TV dramas. Extracting the truth from the story, analyzing it for you, and teaching you how to apply it is truly the characteristic of Suzhou Pingtan. It is said that at that time, the actors of Suzhou Pingtan were also from humble backgrounds, but they were all worthy of respect. Imagine no matter how much hardship one has endured, seeing the next generation, out of instinct and compassion, hoping that they will be better, and take fewer detours that should not be taken. Out of such hard work, melting one's own experiences and life lessons into the book list to tell every audience, isn't this kind of dedication worthy of respect? No wonder before, Pingtan actors were referred to as storytellers. It is an elegant title and also an honorific title. Having more exposure to Pingtan also has one benefit, which is that no matter what setbacks you encounter, there is still a sense of love there. After listening to the books, I feel love. So I want to melt this tradition into my own novels or book reviews. After all, children will grow up. When they were young, being kind to others may not necessarily pay special attention as they grow up. However, if they were to bully others when they were young, taking advantage of their interests, and only treating them as tools to gain benefits, they would mostly ignore them in the future. Therefore, I believe that Suzhou Pingtan has a genuine essence, and I also want to continue this authenticity. When I was writing book reviews, I thought of Suzhou Pingtan silently protecting me, and my heart felt much more at ease, so I continued to write. Alright, let's temporarily stop here today. I'm really tired, good night. September 9th, 2020, also known as. Liang Yusheng's novels add a sense of peace and stability to life. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Today while working, a scene suddenly appeared, which is the scene related to the ending of The Record of Partridges Drinking Cheong. I don't know how others write novels. I first appear on the screen and then convert it into text. Sometimes it's hard to wait for the screen to appear. We may encounter unexpected situations. It's about to appear, it will appear on its own, and I'm begging for it. No matter how hard it is, sometimes it doesn't work. Do you remember psychologist Wu Jihong once said that he also encountered situations where inspiration couldn't keep up? At this point, he will go to collect information, and the more information he collects, the more abundant his inspiration will be. At present, this point is not very useful to me. Because recently I have been watching the drama, Blame You for Being Too Beautiful, and after watching this drama, I just want to watch the original work. I am increasingly fond of watching modern dramas now. Do you remember a few years ago, when I was pursuing a modern romance novel, I told the story to my friend and she asked as soon as she heard it, is it ancient costume? I said it's modern, she was stunned. I have been watching costume dramas since I was young, so I naturally believe that costume dramas will take the lead. I didn't expect that in recent years, what I love to watch is still modern dramas. Interestingly, when I approach martial arts scenes with modern applied thinking, I experience different feelings. Just like the review of The Witch with White Hair I wrote these days. After the review of 7 Swords Down the Tian Shan Mountains was completed, some people said they liked it. And when writing the review for 7 Swords Down the Tian Shan Mountains, I ended up rushing to finish because there were other manuscripts to attend to. That was in August last year when I received a new martial arts course on the app. After listening to the course for almost 2 years, when I saw the martial arts course, it was my dish, so I did my homework. At that time, I had one homework every day, which was about 5,000 words. The comment section I received was 5,000 words. When I read it, I couldn't help but marvel at the design that took into account the reader's enthusiastic response from the beginning. I was impressed by the word limit set in the comments section of the app, which was set early on. It falls within the realm of the founder's thinking. At that time, I joined the readership of Sima Ling, and some people recommended me to read Sima Ling's novels. Some readers of Sima Ling said that writing several columns together was very tiring for Sima Ling at that time. At that time, I felt the experience. Not to mention Sima Ling, I already had 3 columns to write at that time, and I haven't adapted to this path yet, so hurry up and finish the review of 7 Swords Down the Tian Shan Mountains. Later, someone said that the ending was too hasty. So I said, okay, when the matter comes to an end, I'll add another note to explain the situation. Then I was busy with other things. I received a total of 30 martial arts classes, and it took me a month to complete my homework. During the writing process, inspiration was also generated, and things that had not been discovered before were discovered at that time. So a friend asked me to post the manuscript on the forum for footprints. Then at the beginning of this year, things came to an end, and I added the postscript of the review for 7 Swords Under the Tian Shan Mountains. At that time, I happened to see the online movie 7 Swords Under the Tian Shan Mountains. Unforgettable Flowers, and wrote the review together. When I was a child, I read the comic book Seven Swords Under the Tian Shan Mountains, and roughly browsed through the novel. At that time, I didn't feel anything, but when I wrote back the review, I found that the character Mao Huanlian was shining brightly. She was an exiled princess. The name, Princess Exile, came to my mind. Her father was from the frontier, and her mother Dong Xiaowan was taken to the palace as a noble concubine. Isn't Emperor Xuanzhi her cheap stepfather? And the exiled princess looks similar to the legitimate princess. If Mao Huanlian followed her mother into the palace and loved her house, she might be even more favored than the legitimate princess. So I called her Princess Exile. Mao Huanlian's speech is truly from a golden branch and jade leaf background. It is a gentle way to solve problems, not to create them. Let's take the section about her mother. In law, Mrs. Shi, telling the past. That's a very sad story. Aunt Shi chose between two senior brothers, and she chose one. However, this one got separated from her during the war. Out of reliance, she got very close to her senior brother, and later news of her husband's death came. So, for the sake of convenience, let's get married. On the night of getting married, the husband returned. I really like her master brother Gui Tianlan. He is quiet and reserved, but everything he does is good. He silently takes care of women and children, fulfills his responsibilities, takes on important responsibilities, and is eventually misunderstood and killed by his junior brother. To be fair, I don't think getting married to Gui Tianlan and Mrs. Shi is an ideal couple. They can't be considered a free love choice, but they are bound by fate and have to compromise just to live together. But when I saw their marriage being ruined, I really felt a sense of sadness and sorrow. Gui Tianlan is not an ideal couple for Aunt Shi. If you use a metaphor, they make do with life. They are not a bowl of rice, but a bowl of congee. But when even the compromise-oriented life congee is taken away, it will feel particularly cruel. And this is the nature of war. War is not as romantic as it spreads, it is very cruel. And this point was written by Mr. Liang Yusheng. Then when it comes to choosing a son. In law for Aunt Shi, it's like a brilliant stroke of writing. It was her first time choosing a son. In law freely, and at that time, she was a girl who didn't know how to worry. Her words were very straightforward and a bit aggressive, but it was a characteristic of that era. And the second time she was out of compromise, it was difficult for a woman to survive in the war, especially since she had 2 children, that was a last resort. At this point, she didn't speak directly about her feelings, but rather about the facts. Later, Mrs. Shi only talked about the facts, rarely discussing emotions, feelings, and so on. This is the growth experience brought about by age. Mr. Liang Yusheng's pen vividly displayed such a dynamic process. And when Aunt Shi said that because of her, when her senior brothers had conflicts, she was full of helplessness. At this moment, the exiled princess, Mao Huanlian, said, "It's all because of war." This sentence is too clever. If we follow the situation in reality, many people will discuss the situation based on the facts, each with their own 50 major points. In this way, what we bring is right and wrong, not harmony. Aunt Shi herself has suffered from the war, and even if there is any fault, it is helpless, and the 2 senior brothers have no choice but to do so. You can say right or wrong, but when it comes to understanding and tolerance, there is also something to say. Mao Huanlian's words did not mention right or wrong, nor did they resolve the conflict. Instead, they summarized the facts in a higher dimension of the conflict. As a result, even her mother. In law admired and respected her, and naturally liked her very much. Not to mention in novels, having such characters in reality is also something that is liked and respected. Such a person is too rare. And when I was a child reading, I really didn't notice it. It was also discovered during book reviews. So I wrote very immersively, carefully examining the work while writing. I discovered for the first time that Liang Yusheng's books also contain legal elements. For example, if Gui Tianlan and his junior brother Shi Tiancheng were arguing about Lady Shi, according to legal thinking, they could be awarded to Gui Tianlan in times of war, and Gui Tianlan was also popular, but Shi Tiancheng was not. That is to say, if we approach it with a legal mindset, Shi Tiancheng will definitely be at a disadvantage. But in Liang Yusheng's books, the literary or humanistic aspect surpasses the law, and also goes beyond the law. Zhaozuiyuan.com. Upon learning that his junior brother was still alive, Gui Tianlan came to disturb his bridal chamber. At that time, he had fainted. After waking up, he proposed to become a registered couple with his junior sister. He was still responsible for raising the child, but his wife was still the junior brother's. This is indeed the plot of the novel, and there is also little to see in reality. But it's beautiful, not judged by the law, but by conscience. So later, Gui Zhongming's surname was Gui, and he should have been called Shi Zhongming. However, when his father Shi Tiancheng found out everything, he was very moved. This son can be considered Gui Tianlan's. Later, Gui Zhongming's son Gui Huasheng married Nepalese Princess Huayu and gave birth to his daughter, Glacier Heavenly Maiden, who also inherited her mother's position as a princess. That is to say, Gui Tianlan is very outstanding and can be said to be at the forefront. But it has evolved all the way and feels familiar and trustworthy. If anyone does this in reality, they will also be respected. Although it is a novel, it is also written according to the laws of life. After reading such a novel, I have a positive idea of hard work. I believe that as long as I do good deeds from the bottom of my heart, they will bring blessings. Therefore, my mood is not so restless, but more stable and down. To Earth, modern people face a lot of pressure and impatience, which is beyond their control. But good novels can balance imagination and reality, and relieve stress. So after writing the review, I was still unsatisfied. I asked in the group what other people wanted to read, but someone suggested reading The Witch with White Hair. So, I wrote it. Recently, I wrote about the Wudang War, which is the ultimate battle and very interesting. However, it's late today and I have other things to do. Let's leave it at that for now. Good night. September 10th, 2020. When focused, time is lost. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I don't know if I have time to update within a fixed time today. Because I saw the teaching of programming courses on a WeChat official account, which I have been following for a long time, and then I have always wanted to know about programming courses. Plus, there are discounts on the event launched today, so please register quickly. As a result, the class will start on the same day, and I will follow the instructions. I also encountered a problem. My computer browser is not specified by someone else, and I still need to download the browser. And I have a characteristic that I am not very familiar with computers. As long as I can use many things, I am not very familiar with some in-depth things. So once I can't use it and encounter problems, I will be anxious, and at this time, I will be particularly focused and not disturbed. Be sure to come up with a solution or solve the problem yourself, then let go and move on to the next task. I don't know if it's just me or if many people are like this. I remember a few days ago when my computer at home suddenly couldn't turn on. I thought it was because the motherboard burned out. If it really burned out, then I wouldn't want it anymore. However, I still feel like I need to go and ask, so I searched online for a designated repair point, called to make an appointment, and then took the subway to get there. The repair point is near the subway. As a result, I was told that the motherboard was not a problem, but rather a short circuit caused by burning. I just had to fix it. Then they called again, saying that the parts next to the motherboard had also been burned out and needed to be transported to another location. They asked me to wait. When I went to get the computer, it had already been 3 days. These 3 days, I can only write on my phone. With the development of new technology, it's really a good thing. If I need to fix the computer, then I'll go and fix it. Not delaying work. But I really feel lost emotionally, as if the computer was always with me. It not only does things for me, but also serves as a companion. I left suddenly, and I'm still a bit uncomfortable. 3 days later, when I went to get my computer, I couldn't help but feel excited. That day, I wrote on my social media. Welcome the computer home. I was supposed to go home in time after taking the computer, but I wanted to release my mood, so I went to have a Manhattan buffet. I was a month ago, yes, it has been a whole month. At that time, people were treating guests and dining in the mall. The Manhattan buffet was right in the mall, next to our dining area. Out of curiosity, I went to the Manhattan buffet to see the dishes, and I felt quite interested at the time. But that day others lacked interest in it, so I went to eat it alone, which didn't seem very suitable. So let's put it aside. But on the day I got my computer, I had to fully release it, so I went to a Manhattan buffet alone and had a meal. While eating, I posted on my social media. Many people are laughing when they see it. I think I can collect delicious food and my feelings when eating, and send them to my WeChat official account. Speaking of WeChat official account, at that time, a friend in the group sent out his own public account article for circulation. Out of curiosity, I asked her how to open a WeChat public account. She said, I will do it, and then had my own public account. Since you're here, don't waste it, so send out the article haphazardly for fun. But it's not suitable to send it every day. Sending it every week can be tiring, so let's send it every month. And if there is time, you can send a little more within a month. In this way, I have to plan ahead what articles to publish every month. This is also a habit developed in writing. Sometimes it's done in one go, following the feeling. But most still need to be brewed. That day, I had a plump belly, and when I came back, I found that my computer was not working properly again. I only drove for an hour, but I can't drive anymore. That repair shop has a warranty period, and I called them at that time. They estimated it was a problem with the data cable and said they would replace it for free. Let me go the next day. The next day when I went, as soon as the data cable was connected, I could start up immediately. It was not like I couldn't turn on the phone at home, so it seemed like there was a problem with the data cable. Since it's in front of the client, I'll say it, so it really doesn't seem like it's your fault. The repairman was also very good, so he immediately sent me a data cable and asked me to give it a try. I stayed there for about 15 minutes and found that there was really no problem, so I decided to leave. And when I left, I told the front desk that if there were any problems, I would still come to you. Then I explained that I had come into contact with you a few times and trusted your skills, but I just didn't trust the computer and didn't come to make things difficult for you. I don't know what would happen if someone else encountered this kind of thing. As far as I know, some people have said, don't be too kind to others. In case something unexpected happens, they will bully you because of your kindness. This is certainly their way of self-protection, and it is understandable. I'm just thinking that the technicians and front desk staff at their repair points also rely on technology and service to make a living. So deal with the situation, don't bully others just because you are a customer. Some people just like to show off, as if they have bullied others, they are already very powerful. I don't know if after reading Liang Yusheng's novels have a particularly human touch. I think in general, it's better not to oppress others and try not to. Of course, in special circumstances, or when one is too tired, feeling down, or having a backlog of several things, it's a different story at that time. But if you can get things done without being annoying, that's best. So consider the issue as much as possible from this direction. After I said this to the front desk, they were very polite to me and almost took me to the elevator. I also feel the feeling of being respected. Then I won't go to the buffet this time. I need to hurry back and check my computer usage, so I don't want to go back and forth on a hot day. After returning, I found that it was really repaired. At this moment, I couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. This is how I deal with computer problems, and it's the same today. It's important to download it and follow the instructions to rest assured, but as a result, time cannot be guaranteed. Not bad, when you focus, time will pass unnoticed, and you may not even notice it when looking for a book garden at www.zhaosuiyuan.com. I really feel happy to be able to follow the instructions to listen to online classes, not to mention it. Listening to online classes at least exercises one's hands-on ability. Operate step by step. Don't worry about the operation actions, how complicated can the operator be? Just follow the instructions and follow them, isn't it? It is said that this is the case, but in many cases, there is a lack of communication between one's own side and the other, resulting in information asymmetry and a gap. At this time, it is very urgent. And sometimes, when I want to ask a question, I don't know how to do it. What worries me even more is the question, which has caused a delay in time. Often, it's just me organizing how to express a problem here. It's good. Although I usually write, when I really encounter a problem, there will still be times when I am influenced by emotions. At this time, my brain is blank, and my mouth will only make sounds. If I want to shout, it's okay. If I want to say a complete sentence to express myself, I need to pause for a moment. Then I just organize the language and send it out, but there is often no connection yet. This sentence comes, please wait a moment. This is the most anxious time. I wish I could scratch with my hands. I also feel that after putting in so much effort, all I have received is this one sentence, which feels a bit uneconomical. So instead of relying on others, it's better to try it out on your own first. The situation today is that when I used my own strength to solve the problem, I felt particularly happy, and couldn't help but listen to more online courses. After all, this is also the result of my hard work, so I naturally need to cherish it even more. Upon hearing this, time passed again. Then rushed to write this paragraph out, hoping to be updated regularly today. If everyone can be happy, that would be great. September 11th, 2020. The creative spirit of ordinary people. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I have written a lot these past few days, and I have been surprised by the amount. When I first signed the contract last year, I knew I couldn't stop and felt a lot of pressure. As far as I know, there are at least two types of people who can write. One is based on emotions, and if you feel it, you will write very well. One way is that regardless of emotions, what should be written should still be written. So it seems that the first one is an entry-level state, right? The second scenario is a more mature one. Last year, I hadn't reached the second level yet, and the thought of updating every day made me feel overwhelmed, as if there was one more thing to do. However, since we have signed the contract, we must take it seriously. So I forced myself to write. I no longer have emotional dependence, but instead have to write out of responsibility. The paths I rely on are different, and I haven't been able to adapt for a while. But as I write more, I gradually adapt. Someone has said that articles are written, just write and write. I still remember watching a video 2 years ago, and internet writer Yi Fei also said the same thing. If you write, you will write. I was half believing and half doubting at that time. But after writing for a year, I realized that's really the case. As psychologist Wu Jihong once said, feelings do not appear out of thin air, but naturally arise when exposed to information. I have also experienced this situation when writing. At first, I had no idea, but as I was writing, inspiration emerged. At the beginning of The Record of Partridge Drinking Cheong, there were only a few scenes, just a few scattered dots. But this book is very strange. It says that there will be people who help me, intentionally or unintentionally, to help drive the plot forward. This also increased my motivation to write and adapt as soon as possible. At the beginning of this year, the review of 7 Swords Down the Tian Shan Mountains was completed, and the postscript was also completed. I don't want to be idle either. Writing back reviews can be tiring, but this is a close encounter with the original work, and I also think it is a rare opportunity. Then, under the promotion of netizens, I continued to write the review of The White-Haired Devil's Daughter, which has been written until now, and now I have written the 26th chapter. That is the highlight of the whole book, the essence part, and there are 6 chapters to write. When I was a child watching martial arts, besides watching the plot and fighting, I also looked at emotions and worldly wisdom. Liang Yusheng's novels mention a lot about human relationships and worldly wisdom, and reading more can enhance emotional intelligence. Looking back now, we can see many social forms, such as financial intelligence and conflicting interests. At the beginning, the grandfather of the male protagonist Shuihang, Shuizhonglian, appears to be a master of financial intelligence, although he may seem foolish and old. I have written a special article to analyze it. He returned to his hometown with his retirement salary. Originally, he wanted his grandson Shuihang to accompany him, but Shuihang had to stay in the capital to take the imperial examination and couldn't get away from it. So he recommended his fellow disciple Geng Xiaonan. Geng Xiaonan looked down upon everything, only himself, and had no worldly affairs. Shuizhonglian ignored him when he saw that he was uncomfortable. Later on, Geng Xiaonan also caused trouble. His attitude that was above everyone else was strange for not causing trouble. Then he was robbed by the Jade Buddha, who even helped him settle the accounts, saying that Shuizhonglian was not a corrupt official, but rather a clean official, just a moderate official. Then she robbed Shuizhonglian to the point where only his dead salary was left. Shuizhonglian was both surprised and delighted. The Yuluosha here only has the ability to calculate accounts, but has no pricing ability. No wonder she will encounter difficulties later on. But with this talent in the Green Forest, she is also one of the leaders. If Shuizhonglian were to become a clean official, he would be penniless and unable to hire bodyguards. Moreover, if he ran into a brave man in the Green Forest without any expenses, he might not be able to escape. Later on, some people wanted to become gentlemen, but gentlemen brought more troubles, as reflected in chapter 26. This writing style is completely written according to the rules, so when I write feedback and read it carefully, I don't feel happy about it. I remember reading texts when I was a child, and sometimes it was quite interesting to listen to the teacher's explanations and analysis. Later, when I saw the analysis and comments in The Lecture of 100 Schools, I also felt enthusiastic. So when I dissect and analyze stories with my own ideas, I feel a great sense of achievement. Especially for some small people. I really enjoy reading small characters, and I also think that whether a martial arts novel is written well or not depends on the protagonist. The protagonist has his own halo, and there is still much room for improvement. Moreover, if it is a widely circulated work, there are many people who like the male and female protagonists, and it is not uncommon for me to be one less. So I have mentioned it in the group and in the martial arts homework that I received from the app. At that time, there was a question in the martial arts class asking which characters you liked in Jin Yong's works. Some say Gua Jing, some say Qiao Feng, and some say Yang Gua. What I'm talking about is the 7 eccentrics of Jiangnan. They don't have high martial arts skills, bad temper, and even lower status. However, they travel from Jiangnan to the Great Wall with the aim of making a promise and striving for success. Although there are 7 brothers who have lost 5 or 6, I have never seen a single complaint. Isn't such a person worth money? Then I also said that in The Legend of the Condor Heroes, I like my grandmother. In law because although Yang Gua has many peach blossoms, including Little Dragon Girl, it is because he appears to be a little bit good that people like him. Grandmother treated him very well when he was nothing. The sentence, no one hurts you, mother. Law hurts you, no one loves you, mother. Law loves you, and later Yang Gua shouted in front of heroes in the world, even if you cut me $1,000 or $10,000, I still want my aunt to be my wife. Is it exactly the same, clearly the same underlying logic? No wonder some people say that Yang Gua has such a wide range of choices, why only takes a spoonful to drink. One of the reasons is that I'm afraid I can't get rid of my relationship with my grandmother. Law. When he was young, he was taken good care of and treated well. How could he not be grateful and cherish it? How could he easily sacrifice the life of Grandma's son as a bridge between Yang Guo and little dragon girl? Many people also say that it would be great if Yang Guo married Guoxiang. In fact, he wouldn't even bother with this idea. 16 years later, when Yang Guo appeared, he was particularly mature and had a strong purpose. What he wanted was for the world to accept his forbidden love and acknowledge it. So everything he did revolved around this goal, and Guoxiang could be said to be a destructive factor, so he never met Guoxiang later on. How could the career blueprint he finally established be destroyed in an instant? It's interesting to see Yang Guo 16 years later. He is very careful about the sisters of the Guo family, saying good things and doing things. But if he can't see each other, he can't see each other. Even if he does, he should wipe oil on the soles of his feet. This is not accidental. I think these little characters make the work more spiritual. Therefore, looking at Zhuozhonglian now, I also find it particularly meaningful. Some people in the group say that my idea is very unique and it's unlikely that anyone will have such an idea. But I don't think this idea has any harm. You can see some other interesting things, so what's wrong with it? When Zhuozhonglian was forced by the Jade Buddha to watch her battle with the Wudang sect, this section actually hinted at her ultimate battle with the Wudang sect later on. Interestingly, the opening features 5 disciples of Wudang sect, symbolizing the 5 elders of Wudang. In the ultimate battle, the 4 elders of Wudang appeared. At that time, Xiang had already passed away. However, the second-generation disciples of Wudang's sect all appeared on the Shuyuan website www.zhaoshuyuan.com. If we compare their combat effectiveness, it would be almost a Xiang. Therefore, it is actually the ultimate battle between Yuluosha and the 5 elders of Wudang. Zhuoyihang here, like his grandfather, was first forced to go and see it. Then, his grandfather fainted, and he also fainted. Zhuozhonglian's fainting was very appropriate. He was old and weak, unable to watch the fighting and killing, so he naturally became pure without seeing. And at an advanced age, if he were to lose his life, would Yuluosha have to send him off? So isn't the Shanzhai turning into a nursing home and having to give away a funeral? Do you really think Green Forest is a charity organization? Is it easy to get along with? So Yuluosha sent someone to escort Zhuozhonglian down the mountain. Zhuozhonglian here escaped with wisdom, he is not as old and dilapidated as he appears on the surface. Gung Xiaonan met Yuluosha, who was a beautiful lady, and he couldn't help but show a frivolous attitude. And Zhuozhonglian, who was well versed in the world, met with the village leader and said that if you want money, you can take it with you. My family still has some meager land. He respects others and is both young and old, not belittling them just because they are women, which he has done very well. And the words spoken seem to be giving alms. Make Yuluosha feel embarrassed to rob again. Zhuozhonglian showed respect for Yuluosha, and his grandson Zhuoyihang showed no frivolous attitude when he saw Yuluosha, which captured the heart of the beautiful woman. Throughout this journey, it inherits the grass-gray snake-line brushwork of Dream of the Red Chamber, and looks particularly flavorful. Although the characters are small, they are still worth taking seriously, which I highly recognize and admire. So I really like Mr. Liang Yusheng's works. Alright, that's all for today. Good night. September 12, 2020.